if I cook my vegetables until they're soft, you do lose a little bit of nutrients the longer and the further you cook the vegetable to soften it. So we want to make it, so we're trying to balance that. And if we like our vegetables very soft, and we want to eat some raw or some that are not cooked, so, to balance those out. So we don't want to eat everything cooked or overcooked. But in a stew or a stir fry, it's better if you want them soft to be in a stew or a soup, because then any nutrients lost through overcooking, a lot of those nutrients will go into the water or the fluid portion of the soup or the stew, which you're consuming anyway. But if you overcook by boiling or blanching or steaming, then the water that you're cooking in becomes green and gets a lot of nutrients. When you overcook into the water and you throw the water away, you're throwing away a lot of the nutrients. So if you like your vegetables extra soft, we want to steam them while the water doesn't get green, or blanch them till the water does not get green, so the vegetable still hasn't gotten that soft. But if you want it soft, then cook it in a stew, which means a tomato sauce or mushrooms and onions, where you're making it with a slow cooker on a low flame, or in a crock pot, or one of those instant pots, where you're actually putting on a low flame and letting it cook a long time, and you're consuming the juices and the sauces in the bottom of the pot as part of the dish. So it lessens the nutritional benefits somewhat, yeah. We also use fried onions by getting a hot pan and putting chopped onions in the pan until they're translucent. We want to take them out of the pan before they caramelize, before they turn brown. Caramelization is not a healthful thing. You're consuming more acrylamides and more burnt compounds. We don't want to cook our sweet potatoes so they're dripping with the sugar coming out. We want to cook them on a lower temperature, like 325, not 350, or 300. So we want to cook them a longer period of time on a lower temperature so they do not caramelize. If you're making it once in a while for company and you want to fry your onions in a dry pan without oil, and you want them to cook a little longer till they start to brown or caramelize, you can do that once in a while, but it shouldn't be an everyday practice. We're not generally making our onions brown so they're caramelized. This person is saying, I like to eat baked apples for desserts. Again, we don't want to bake it so it browns it or darkened it, only so it softened it, which is, of course, not as healthy as eating an apple, but, they're still eating fresh fruit and raw fruit. So having, a baked apple a few times a week is not a big deal. In general, most people, when they switch to a nutritarian diet at the beginning, could sometimes not digest all the raw vegetables as well. They mostly can digest the cooked vegetables easier than the raw vegetables. The person's asking about digesting cooked vegetables. And it's usually that people have more trouble digesting all the raw stuff. That's why we pay such important attention to having people chew better, and making sure when you're eating a salad, you really focus and concentrate on chewing it to a liquid before you allow it to be swallowed, so you can digest that better. And that's why people sometimes start with a smaller salad with maybe more quinoa or amaranth or cooked Brussels sprouts or squash or other zucchini, cooked vegetables, and then increase the salad size over time and split their raw vegetable consumption between half of the raw vegetables for lunch with salad and arugula and other greens and tomatoes and red onion, and the other half of raw vegetables they're having before dinner, which are different types of raw vegetables before dinner, like snow pea pods, peppers, jicama, kohlrabi, bok choy stems, celery, carrots. So we're trying to get as much variety of raw in our diet, focusing on chewing it super well. And then we might have a dip, like a hummus dip or a salsa dip or a guacamole dip with a dinner of raw vegetables, and lunch might have a salad dressing, a different type of salad dressing they're eating for your lunch salad. So this person is saying too much steamed or water sauteed vegetables is upsetting my stomach and causing diarrhea from the cooked vegetables. Well, I don't get this reaction to eating salad or beans. Well, you know what it is that you're not used to these foods and digesting it. And then if you're doing okay with the salad and beans, then the smaller portion of cooked vegetables. And over time, you'll be able to increase that portion. But keep in mind, chew better, you'll digest better, and your body will eventually adapt to these foods better over time as you chew really well, and don't swallow things and don't rush when you eat these things, but make sure you liquefy them in your mouth.